In concept, this anime is great. However, the execution is a bit rough. A Returner's Magic Should Be Special is a webcomic that recently got an anime. So far, the best part has been watching Desir, the main character, outclass most of the people around him just because his unduly advanced magical skills are way out of their league. Other than that, it doesn't seem to be all that special. The characters feel a little flatter than they should, and while the main three characters do feel somewhat endearing, it's hard to be super invested in them when they feel so one dimensional. Romantica comes off as a slightly less abusive tsundere. Prom is the gay femboy twink obsessed with the main character after he was nice to the guy once. And Desir is just the standard, I must save the world this time around protagonist return to the past. It does have a few things that interest me, like Desir basically being the anti-magic mage who uses other people's spells against them. And even Prom has a bit of intrigue to him, with basically him being more of a finesse fighter than a power fighter, using skill and speed to overcome any challenges. The story is just kinda there. It feels like generic fantasy with a big bad dragon at the end of the world who needs to be slain. Still, I like the idea of Desir trying his hardest to save his friends that he had in his previous life from their fates. And I think that's why I continue to come back to this series even though so much of it isn't all that incredible. The class struggle drama dealing with the nobles versus commoners stuff doesn't particularly interest me either, even though it does seem like a pretty significant part of the plot. It's just something I feel is so played out. Not that I think it's entirely bullshit, but it just feels like something that's sort of shoehorned into the story for an extra source of drama, rather than it being something that feels like a genuine part of the world. And its execution is so mediocre and trite that it bores me to the point of wishing they hadn't put it in so much focus on this. It feels forced is what I'm trying to say, and part of that is that a large portion of important build-up feels like it's missing. You get little snippets of people fighting a dragon right at the beginning before Desir is sent back in time to when he first started at the academy. I feel like it could do with a bit more of a lead up to the time jump and emphasize more of the cost of battles in the Shadow Realm. And without some major twist in the plot that can really deepen the story, it's narratively shallow with characters who don't really feel like they've been thoroughly written out or given any sort of major appeal, and are instead just there to play the roles assigned them by the plot. It's honestly entertaining enough to not bore you, but combat feels rather underwhelming and suffers a lot of the problems that Magic in anime suffers from. Low effort, mostly static action sequences as characters just sort of point and shoot. Animation isn't all that impressive in this one, so the visual appeal isn't there at all either. At least in anime like Mashle and Black Clover, they chose unique ways to incorporate magic into combat that gave the scenes a bit more intensity and choreography. So, by comparison, this one feels incredibly weak in the fighting department. Still, I'm continuing to watch it because it has me intrigued. If I had to give it a rating, I'd say it's like a 6 out of 10. It's a bit above average and could probably have used a little bit more love, but it suffices as entertainment. That and the intro is pretty catchy too.